Awesome. Hi,
Awesome.
everyone. We'll be talking about how to protect users against scams. My name is Bruno. I work in product at the SDF, and mainly with wallets and RAMs, and very happy to share this stage with
Yeah.
Shahar.
Hi, I'm Shahar. I'm a researcher here at Blockaid. We research and protect the whole Stellar ecosystem, from wallets to protocols to everything that is on the ecosystem right now. Yeah. So to start off, I want to show just to start off. Let's start with a small scenario. So your uncle, let's think of your uncle, your grandma, anyone, opens her first crypto account. Okay, they move their whole paycheck to that new account, and then later on they see on Stellar Expert loads of claimable balances that show up there. What do you think will those people will think? They would think, if you look on your bank account statement, you would think free money, right? If I look at my bank account statement and I see lots of pending money, I will think I'm getting free money. So what will your uncle do in that scenario? So the first thing your uncle will do will look he won't use Stellar Lab. He's not going to claim those balances manually. He's not going to use all the tools that devs use. But instead, he will go on social media, search on Telegram, on Facebook, on Twitter, whatever platform he is using. And then he will find a link that looks somewhat like this. With claim all your balances now, free money. You can claim it all. You can be rich. And that is the dream. Everyone wants to be rich. Everyone wants crypto will help them be rich. So at that moment, your uncle will click the big button that was there, and will get this huge transaction. And of course, your uncle will not decode this transaction. He will not look between the lines. He will not understand what is actually happening here. He will look at the first operation, second. It'll claim his first balance, second balance, and then if you look a bit too closely, you will see this small operation there. Your uncle is adding another signer to his account, and your uncle just got drained. Now, this scenario happens over and over again, and I'll recap a bit of what happened here. So first off, your uncle will not use crypto anymore. We need to remember that your uncle, after that, will never use crypto again. And we need to design user experiences so your uncle will not have these scenarios, or your grandma will never have even a chance to get drained like that, and they will have all the warnings in place. Because this is how we'll get full-on adoption, when people understand what they're doing on the platform. So first off, not everyone's tech savvy. Not everyone that is using crypto is tech savvy. We need to understand that. We need to design our experiences around it. And the second point, even for tech savvy users, is that everyone makes mistakes. Everyone here can look at the first couple operations and say, oh, that looks legit to me. Everyone here, a lot of people we've spoken to in the conference said, yeah, I got drained, I got hacked. A lot of people have experiences like that. And it can either drive you away from crypto or maybe bring you closer. But we want to avoid that. We want to avoid these experiences. This is not something that happens on bank accounts. And we want to solve this problem as a whole. And the third point is, we need to translate all these transactions, all the operations, everything that you can do on crypto. We need to translate it to a human-readable form. We need to translate it to English. We need to translate it to a language that humans understand, and not operations, and not adding signer. What is even a signer? Your uncle doesn't need to know what a signer is. Your uncle just needs to know he is at risk or not at risk. This is a fraud or a scam, or this is an okay transaction. And this is what this is the goal we want to achieve at Blockaid, and with products that are integrating our APIs. So just to show a bit, there are loads of scams. There are loads of scams in crypto. It starts from the classic address spoofing, people thinking they're transferring to one address, but they're transferring to another. It can be investment scams, a whole like showing people and them thinking that they're investing in a real thing, but it's all fake. It goes like there are loads of scams that happens on these platforms, and it is really hard, especially like just as a developer, to keep up. Because scammers will always find a way to make money. It's easy money on this platform. And we need to make it so it's way, 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 way harder. Yeah, so I'll give the wand to Bruno to talk a bit from the WAS perspective.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, how can we protect users? So as Shahar was saying, scammers are there, they exist, they're bad, and for sure they give crypto a bad name. But we know that it's not exclusive to crypto. Scammers are everywhere in other industries. If we think about traditional finance, scammers are there, and what they did is to create layers of protection that make things work the way they do today. So Danielle just mentioned yesterday during the opening how back in the day it was crazy to think about entering your credit card information in a random website on the web. And today, this is pretty much second nature to us. Like, if you want to book a hotel, you just enter your credit card. If you want to buy toothpaste on Amazon, there goes your credit card, and then we don't think twice about doing that. So our job is to also create this kind of protection layers that will allow people to benefit from crypto in a way that they are also safe from all of these kind of scams. So yeah, I'll talk a bit about a few ways that we can do that. I'll go through that. Then Shahar will talk a bit more about how Blockaid also helps doing that. And then finally, I'll talk a bit more about our integration with Freighter and how that looks. So here, first thing would be to use the network features with users in mind. So if we have a scale like that, you would see that on the right hand here, there would be a use case app. So let's say an app that's very focused on a single use case, for example, loans. This app would do all the account funding for users. It would only use the tokens that are really necessary for the user to complete that use case. These things would be transparent to the users. So also all the transactions that they are submitting, they are making them, forming them themselves. So this is a very, like a more controlled environment. And on the other edge, there will be something like a general purpose wallet where users need to pay for fees. They would be able to add any trust lines they want. They would be able to sign any arbitrary transactions. So the surface for these kind of scams gets a lot bigger as we get to the left. And if you're building a wallet today or an application, you probably fall somewhere in this spectrum. So it's really important that we know who we are building to, so we can also know what things are important to let these users see and what parts of the technical side of blockchain and crypto we let these users actually see. So a few examples. Yeah, transactions on Stellar are super cheap. We have trust lines, so you can't receive any asset you want, but except for lumens. So you can receive lumens in your wallet, and there's this. You can set a memo field. So scammers sometimes use this to send a very low, small transaction with a memo field that calls you to some scam website, and we should think like, are these transactions really important? Because they are so small, they don't bring any value. So we can decide to hide them from users, and if users want, they can show them again, but at least for default, users wouldn't be seeing those. Or, like our angle here before, yeah, you receive multiple claimable balances. Just claimable balances is a way that you can have a balance waiting for you before you add a trust line to that asset. So it enables many different use cases, but at the same time, if that's not part of your core use case, why would you show all of that to every user? So We should keep that in mind that we should display things to the user as they are useful to them and as they are part of use cases. Also, we should provide users with relevant, accurate, and comprehensive information. So every time a user is doing something on a wallet, we want to let them know what they're doing. This needs to be clear for them. So for example, if you're submitting a transaction, you can see a transaction summary, so you know what's the result of submitting that and how that will affect you. Or let's say someone is adding a new asset. There's ways that we can show, for example, liquidity, if an asset has a low liquidity, or if there's a new asset, or if this asset has an invalid format. And also, another example, if you're looking for an asset and there's multiple assets with the same name, we can say, hey, take a look at the home domain, because you need to make sure you're adding the right one. And also, we should educate users when possible. So even if in that spectrum we know where our users are, like maybe they're closer to the left, where they are more crypto savvy, we can't be sure that every single user will be crypto savvy when user our application. So we can take every opportunity we have to educate users, either doing onboarding into a wallet or an app, or doing multiple interactions the users have. Let's say opening your application, or if you have users' email, you can also send educational content to them. So a few examples. If you're importing a secret key, you can let users know, like, hey, this is not very safe. If you get to this application, it's compromised, or if your clipboard is compromised, like you can lose all your funds. And also provide a tip, like what's a better way to have your wallet. Also, ask users to also verify URLs, a simple thing that sometimes can also help avoid some kind of scams. And yeah, and also making sure users know, like, hey, we can't recover the account for you, so make sure you note this, the recovery phrase, and things like that. And also set expectations. So for example, the last one here, just letting users know that no one from SDF will ever contact them and ask for their recovery phrase or anything like that. So there's many ways we can do that, and but we need to be proactive. So the things I was talking about so far is more about how we can just let users know about information, but we need to go beyond that. So a few ways we can do that. Use available lists and directories. For example, we have the SEP42, which describes Stellar asset lists. So there's a few already available in the ecosystem, which are lists that you can select which assets you want to let your users to interact with. You can start with one of those. You can create your own. And based on that, you can either limit the number of assets a user can interact with, or you can show warnings if they are interacting with something that's not in one of those lists. Also, Stellar Expert, for example, they have a great directory and APIs available. So they are tagging accounts, assets, and also domains. So you can verify if anything a user is interacting is malicious or not. And those are also great ways to provide an extra layer of security to users.
Yeah, but we gotta remember that like public tagging is not enough. We have so many projects launching on crypto again and again and over, and a lot of people here are developers which are about to create a new project. We cannot publicly tag if it's like malicious or not, like manually. We just cannot. We don't have enough manual labor. We cannot keep up with the pace of new and tokens and projects that a lot of them are completely legit, that like aren't currently tagged on Stellar Expert. So the question is, can we move fast enough? And this is what we're trying to solve at Blockaid, or solving. So the first question when you're doing any kind of transaction is when you have like someone that is gaining from the transaction, who it is. Because at the end of the day, if I'm transferring money to an exchange, I'm transferring, like, let's say, 500 XLM to an exchange, it's fine, it's legit, it's OK. I'm just transferring my money around. But if the same transaction, we replace that exchange with some like malicious actor, it's not fine anymore. So the main question here is who's the other side first? That's the problem. But what other problems are there? Stellar, like it's a blessing and a sin that it's such a cheap network that malicious actors can just create over and over many addresses, and they have networks of tens of thousands of addresses where they move the money around, and you cannot like manually tag them because they're just everywhere. They just create more and more addresses. You need algorithms, and you need to find a way to actually like get an address and quickly say, is that address legit? Is that address fine? Or is it impersonating? Is it malicious? Is it any of those things? So one of our methods, I'll talk about 3 methods here that we do at Blockaid. Of course, I will not reveal our whole, like, how we do everything, because then scammers will be way too easy for them. But our first method is on-chain scanning. So we scanned like all the ledgers, all the transactions on Stellar back, and we looked at all the previous scams that were there, and then we tried to find like patterns in how scammers operate on the network to find new addresses that they use. Currently, it's working very well. This is like 2 screenshots from our platform that some of our customers have access to, where they see like live right when it happens when a user gets scammed. They just see like that like pop up, and they know exactly what happened, how much they got scammed for. And another cool thing that we have is we have a new campaign where each time a malicious actor creates like a new address that is about to be publicly available, even before it's publicly available, we already have the address tagged in our DB because we found it like on chain that it was like about to be like public, that they're creating like some like account that we found on the chain is creating a new account, and they're starting a new campaign. And then our customers can see right away that, listen, like something is going to happen. And right after like they see that message, a couple like hours later, they'll see a huge like loads of user got scammed events and lots of people losing their money in live. Yes. Our other method is the Blockaid network. So we're integrated in a couple areas in the Stellar ecosystem. And how it works, here we have like, we work with like people all over companies all over the crypto ecosystem. Here on the example is like MetaMask and Uniswap and other companies. But I'll speak specifically about Stellar. Let's say one of you people, you go on a malicious Dapp and you're about to get drained. So you like the transaction goes through us. We tell you, listen, you're about to get drained. At that moment, we will flag that Dapp as malicious. So you're protecting the next user that will go on the Dapp. And even before they have a chance to send a transaction, we'll already warn them, listen, like this app is malicious. So how it works is the more like when we're integrated with more wallets, it makes it so each user protects the other. Because when a user gets close to being drained, the other user will not even get to the point of being close. So we're trying to use our data together to actually like block these transactions. And we need to be even more proactive, which we have a method we call Dapp scanning. So we have let's say like a Dapp simulator kind of thing. We scan the whole internet all the time. Every new site that launches on the internet, we check if it's a Dapp. If it's a Dapp, we try making it send us transactions. If it sends us transactions, we analyze them. And then most likely, when you'll go to a malicious Dapp, it will already get flagged because it's associated with a different malicious entity. It tried draining our fake account. It went through our simulator. It went as we caught it as malicious, and now you're protected. And now I'll hand over to Bruno.
Cool. Yeah, I'll show a bit more about how Fader is leveraging Blockaid to show these kind of warnings and to protect users. So we use token scanning. So anytime you're trying to add a trust line, we'll scan that asset and show a warning if any asset is flagged as malicious. Also, let's say a user started interacting with an asset outside of Freighter and imported a wallet. So they already have a malicious assets listed in their wallet. We are also scanning all of those, so we make sure that there's no way that an asset is added that we're not scanning in our interface. Also, we use domain scanning, so anytime you're starting to interact with a domain, we also check those and show these warnings accordingly. And also, anytime a user is trying to sign a transaction coming from external Dapp, we also do that kind of scan. And last one is the transaction validation and simulation. So simulation is awesome because we can show the results of a transaction. And also, the validation allows us to do all of those kinds of scans that Shahar mentioned. So it could be related to anything about the transaction. So any asset, any account, anything that is inside that transaction that can be flagged as malicious will be shown to the user. And yeah, we have this today. So if you want to try Freighter with Blockaid, go to freighter.app, or if you want to learn more about Blockaid, go to blockaid.io. And thank you very much.